Guys, Jay, Broader Performance here. Okay, I want to point out something that I've had problems with, and I have a procedure that I use to correct this. But I just want to point this out because a lot of you guys don't know probably. So what's going on here is this is an AOD, not that that really matters, but this could be any clutch drum where you have a press-in input shaft. And what I'm doing here is I'm pressing this shaft. The shaft that was in here was real rusty, so this is just a stockish build. Sometimes I put aftermarket shafts and things in, but so this just being a stock build that I'm doing, I'm just putting another, I'm just replacing the shaft because the other one was kind of rusted up. So anyways, the point I'm trying to make here is when you press these in, back in the day I didn't have a press, and I would go to the auto parts store down the road. They had a press, and they'd charge you $5 or $10 and press something in for you, and okay, thanks buddy, here's your 6-pack of beer, appreciate it, and come back to the shop. Well, we'll see how this turns out. But so here's what I'm getting at. So here's what I do. Now, first of all, I want to point out, a lot of you guys might have a shop press, and it's, just a real cheap Chinese, bad quality, one of those where it's got a 10-ton jack on it and a 6-ton frame, so if you ever stress it, the frame's all bent and warped, and, it's ridiculous. But this one here, it's made in England. It's Bailey. I'm not doing a commercial for Bailey, but it's a good quality press is my point. So the frame is pretty straight, and it's pretty good quality. So what I'm getting at here is when you press these in, the shaft doesn't go in straight, and the drum, warbles real bad. They're never perfect, but usually, years ago, before I had my own press, I would go to the auto parts store, like I said, and, thanks Al, for putting that in for me. And, well, come to find out, the shaft would be in really crooked, and you'd think, oh no, what am I going to do? And then once you press it in crooked, you can press it back out and try to press it back in and fix it. Typically doesn't work. It just kind of cuts the splines at an angle as it presses in, because you've got splines on heat treated shaft. In this case, going into a cast iron drum, or even if it's a steel drum, it'll just cut the spines crooked on you. So I want you to be aware of that. And so here's what I do. I'm going to press this in just a little bit to get it started, okay? So that's maybe at most a quarter to a third of the way in. You can see I've got a lot of spline left. So I've just lightly pushed that in there a little bit. So then what I do, I come over here, and of course I'm fortunate. I put it in the lathe chuck, and hang on a second. This is hard with one hand. Let's open that up a little more. So I'm going to chuck this up in here. Let's see, it's probably, yeah, we'll put it there. So I'll tighten that up. See, this lathe is quite frequently used. So what I want to point out, and it looks like it's pretty good so far. It's going to make me look stupid, but let's turn this on. It's not bad. Honestly, it's not bad. That's pretty damn good. So basically what I do, and a lot of times it doesn't come out this good, and that's probably because it's the stock shaft going back in it. I hate to say that, but aftermarket stuff tends to be a little more troublesome. So I have a dial indicator here, and I'm just going to put it on the end of the drum. So what I'll do, I won't go over this whole procedure, but I think you're going to get the idea. I put my machine back in neutral, and so I can spin this, so I can touch the indicator on the end of the drum, and then I can turn this, and we can see it is off. It's not terrible, but you know, we're off about 10 thou. So let's see, if we go to the low side, so I find the low side. Now I've got a brass hammer, so I can tap this, watch the indicator. This is hard to do with one hand, but just kind of bouncing around on me, but you get the gist of it. So basically what I'm going to do is just use that hammer and tap it in until it's straight, or at least as straight as I can get it. And still pretty far off, but I'll have to play with that some. That's why you only go in a small distance. I may have even gone in a little further than I needed to, but you just go in a small distance because you can still manipulate it at this point. And then, so what I do is, you know, with the dial indicator here, get this nice and straight as I possibly can, and then I go back to the press and then finish it off. Sometimes I do it twice, but honestly, once you press it in any further than quarter to a third of the way in, it becomes very difficult to straighten it anymore at that point. But typically, if you take the measure of just, you know, doing the first measurement, the first check, and straightening it, and then go back to the press, you're going to be in good shape. You know, you're going to it's going to follow the splines, and it's going to turn out good. Like I said, they're never perfect, but you can get them pretty damn close. And again, this is, you know, this is using, you know, I'm sure it's not the best press in the world, but it's a good quality press. It's probably a better quality than some of those, you know, orange Chinese ones that, like I said, the frame bends if you try to actually put some force on it. So, you know, this is a 20-ton press, and the frame will handle the 20 tons. It's, you know, the frame's not rated for 10, and we put a 20-ton jack on it, and unfortunately, that's how a lot of them are. So, anyways, I just wanted to point that out, and I don't care what you're working on. It doesn't have to be an AOD. Just anything you're pressing a shaft into like that, and that has to be straight. Just something to be aware of, you know. Like I said, in the old days, I'd take it down to the auto parts store, and they'd press it in, and I'd go, oh, yeah, it's pressed in. Fantastic. Not realizing that I really have a problem. You know, I didn't notice this until I got a lathe and would chuck it up in the lathe and spin it and go, oh, my God, what happened? I can't put this in the unit now. So anyways, just thought I'd share that with you for what it's worth, and appreciate you watching.